Hey everyone, so this is Marco Polo Season 2, Episode 7. It's called Lost Crane. So the episode starts off with a flashback, sort of a flashback with 100 Eyes, kind of in the field, but he's reminiscing on him training with this woman who it happens to be the same woman who was protecting the boy emperor. Um, and she asks, like, as they're kind of like training a little bit, she asks him to teach him a certain way, which is, I think, the crane, um like a crane move, or something like that. But he says that he can't. And then as they're about to kiss, they hear a bell start to ring, and then cuts to the scene. It kind of cuts to the scene where, if you watch the Hundred Eyes special, where he comes out of the room in the temple, and fights all the Mongolian soldiers. And as he's fighting these soldiers, it shows a woman pacing in the room with other people in it. When someone comes in and says that all is lost, um, she runs out of the room and races to see what's going on, and sees an archer about to kill Hundred Eyes, and kills said archer. Then someone else shoots an arrow at her, and she falls off the wall, assumingly dead. Assumingly dead. In the present, the woman goes up to Hundred Eyes and finally speaks to him, and he recognizes her, and calls her Lotus. So that's what I'm gonna call her, is Lotus from now on. So anyway, so after that whole montage, they do the whole opening credits thing, and then it goes back to the actual episode. And then in a city or a village, people are going about their daily lives, and when an old woman kind of feels that via the grounds, like her hand on the ground, that there are horses with soldiers on them running towards the village, and the village. So the soldiers come, burn down the houses, and kill the townsfolk, but they leave the old woman alive. Um, and it turns out it's Cuddalon and Oris who planned to make it look like Kublai had done this by wearing his army's armor. And Cuddalon chastises Oris for almost killing the woman, because she says they need at least one person alive to spread word of Kublai's treachery and everything. And Cuddalon looks to her father after that and says that he doesn't really look that well. So she asks if they should ride for home, but Kaidu says that they need to continue as planned, then tells Oris to indulge himself before riding off. Once he leaves, Cuddalon tells Oris they should just leave this whole thing alone, meaning making it look like Kublai is a traitor, and that it's cowardly, especially when they use masks and flags of Kublai's to kind of shift blame off of them. She also wants them to save the arrows for, like, more accurate enemies. But Oris just says to her that if she's coming, to put on a mask. So then it goes back to Lotus and Hundred Eyes, speaking. And Lotus explains that she woke up sometime later. Whether it was hours a day, she doesn't know, but she woke up sometime later. And so she found everything destroyed and turned to the only sanctuary that she knew she could find, which was the scrolls that were not burned, or some of the scrolls that were not burned. Anyway, she doesn't explain what scrolls they were, but that they weren't that some scrolls weren't burned. So she took them and kind of studied from them. So she soon enough she pledged her services to Sadao, and then thus protect the boy emperor at Sadao's command. But ultimately, she says that she failed at this task when she saw the boy hanging by a noose in South China. And Hunter says that he felt her watching and following him, and she said that she did this because she wanted to find some trace of the man she once loved. So that was confirmed. Then he asks if she did, but she doesn't really say anything before that scene ends. What? Yeah. And then Kublai and Arvin, they're speaking in front of Jingham and a couple of other men, and they kind of have a disagreement over who Arvin should back. Arvin should back and everything, and Kublai says he either backs Kaidu or him. It's one or the other. You can't really kind of keep out of it because eventually whoever wins is going to end up going to you because you didn't back him anyway. So yeah. So then it goes to Marco and the woman tribute, who I think his name is Sheree. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or if that's actually her name. So if I'm wrong about that, please correct me. And they seem to have had sex yet again the night before, and she's getting ready to leave, and she's like, she's kind of dumbfounded by, not really dumbfounded, but she's kind of at a loss for words because Marco doesn't seem to be acting the way most men have acted towards her in the past. So she's kind of like, she's kind of weird, I guess, weirded out a bit about it, because not only does he act differently, but he says thank you instead of pleading or bothering for her to stay, and so she says that she pretty much says that some have bartered, some have pled, but none have thanked her before. So she's obviously kind of like confused about it all because this never happened to her before. Then they kind of talk a little bit before she leaves, but that's really the whole gist of it, is that she kind of weird, confused by it all. Then Chavi is seen brushing Faye Kokachin's hair. Chavi asks if she's feeling better this morning, and Kokachin's like, she's feeling much better, but clearly something's off with her, because she not even like 2 seconds later she asks where Zog being and her handmaidens are. So she's kind of like not all there mentally, because she's just something like the whole real Blue Princess stalking her and threatening her and her killing the Blue Princess really fucked her up mentally, and so therefore she's kind of, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but she's kind of lost touch with reality a bit, at least a bit, if not completely. So it's, yeah. Then Chavi's like, well, she will tend to her from now on, and Kokachin's like wondering why, but then it's like, I mean, Chavi's like, well, that's just the way it is. So then Chavi leaves, and then before she actually completely leaves the outside of the area of the tent that Kokachin is in, she hears Kokachin speaking to herself. So yeah, anyways, so Lotus is then speaking to Hunter's Eyes again, and she asks him if he feels any remorse for killing their chancellor, and his response is that he does find it. He finds any loss of life tragic, even his own. And she says in response to his earlier question of if she sees the man she once loved in him, and she says that all she sees is a traitor teaching their secrets to the enemies, foreigners, and round eyes. And Hundred Eyes says that their empire was basically drawing their last dying breath, and that Sadao was a corrupt madman, and not only that, but the boy was a pawn in a game he really couldn't win. So because of this is like and also the reason why he's looking to doing all the like teaching their secrets to their enemies is because he had like he pretty much had to do it because he had to live. Um, at least that was the reason back then. And then so she's like, well, then what are the reasons now if that's not the reason anymore? Um, but yeah, and then they both kind of say that they never loved another person like they love each other, which is kind of sad. I was like, oh, really? Damn. Well, um, but anyway, so she offers him a choice. Either A, he leaves with her and help restore the dynasty and destroy the Khan, or B, fight against her, basically. I mean, she doesn't really say the second option or the second choice, but it's pretty much implied that's what has to happen. And he says, and so Hunter Eye pretty much says that he already knows the other option, even though she doesn't say it. She then tells him before she leaves he has until tonight to give her an answer, and then she just leaves. Then Arben looks like he's about to leave, when he gets word from a soldier that his family and village were massacred by supposedly by Kublai. I was about to say supposedly, but that's not. I don't even think that's a word. I've been told that's not a word. But anyway, that's not the point. Kublai says that it doesn't make any sense why he would, try to make peace with him, but then, massacre his whole village. And he says he took no part in this, and his Arben's like, well, he doesn't fucking believe that shit. Like, if anything, if it's not by his hand, it's by the hand of his followers. And then Arben drops the flag near their feet and storms off. And when the guy storms off, Jingen picks up the flag and everything and kind of looks at it. But then it goes to Marco coming up behind Ahmed and greets him as vice regent instead of Ahmed. Ahmed says he was still recovering when he was acting so really towards Marco, when he told Marco to just only call him vice regent, never to call him Ahmed, and he apologizes, which is such a fake ass response because before he even turned around, you saw Ahmed's face and you could clearly see his ass wasn't really that. It wasn't really that happy to see Marco. So clearly that's fucking like his ass is just ridiculously stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm still hoping for his ass to die a most painful death. I'm sorry. At this point, that's what I'm hoping for. And then Ahmed asks how Marco liked the hunt, and Marco's like, I didn't go, I stayed behind. And obviously Ahmed's like, well, who the fuck did you spend your days with then? But Marco doesn't answer him. And as Kublai passes by on horseback, Ahmed, bows to him and everything. And I don't know, but from the way Kublai was looking at Ahmed, it didn't really seem like Kublai was that happy to see him. I don't know. That was just me. I thought his eyes didn't really look that happy to see Ahmed. I mean, which makes me think that, which kind of leads me to a later conclusion that I'll get to during a different scene in this whole episode. But until then, on with the rest of the episode. Kaidu visits his mother and they talk, and she says taking what you want is a sign of a strong man, and his mother suggests riding towards Nan's encampment. So, I mean, I don't really like these scenes with his mother just because I think his mother's batshit crazy. I really do. I'm not gonna lie. I think his mother's batshit crazy. I guess I don't really pay much attention to her scenes when she's in them because I'm just like, I mean, regardless of what I think, he's always gonna end up fucking, like, taking her advice rather than his sons or daughters. So I mean, especially his daughters. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's just fucking batshit crazy. I really think so. I mean, I don't think there's any good that can come from her personally, and that's basically based off of what I've seen with her. I mean, she's just fucking batshit crazy, and I think she's fucking vile. I really do. I think she's fucking vile, and I don't personally want to pay that much attention to her scenes, which kind of shows because I only have like 2 or 3 sentences worth of like scenes with her in it, as opposed to everyone else who has like 10 times as much. So I mean, I don't really like her in her scenes. I mean, I'm not gonna shed a tear. She ends up getting killed. Like I'm not gonna shed a tear. I mean, she doesn't die. I guess I'm not gonna be terribly upset, but I mean, about her not dying. But if she dies, I'm not gonna be terribly upset about it either. So there's that. Anyway, on with the next scene. Ahmed says the traitor's flags, fly false flag. And Kublai says Kaidu. Says one word at first, Kaidu. Then he goes on to say, "I'd do the same if I weren't playing by the rules." And Ahmed's like, "Well, it'd be weeks before they can get their riders to them, so you suggest something stealthier, which is an attack from the shadows where he provides safe passage for Django." And when Ahmed says this, Marco very much looks skeptical of this, which I applaud him for, because like, come on, like anybody else would. I don't know why nobody else is really not looking at it at Ahmed with a suspicious eye. I'm not sure why they're not looking at him like that, because everything he's said so far has led to where they are now. Everything he suggested anyway has led to this point. Everything he suggested, and like, so I don't know why you're not really looking at him with a skeptical eye, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why I think. Never mind. I'm not gonna give that, because that's later for later. Never mind. Anyway, so Kublai says if Jingle crosses paths with Kaidu or his children along the way, to tear their livers in half. His words, not mine. Basically, that's what he says. And Jingle says, with pleasure. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna be that mad. I mean, I get Cuddle-On was kind of forced in a way to choose between her family and doing what's right, but again, it was her choice to do it. She didn't have to, do all this stuff to make Kublai look like a bad person when he really. I mean, I guess in a way he is a bad person. Kublai's a bad person because he's conquering people who don't want to be conquered and everything, and so in that aspect he's a bad guy. In other aspects, I think he's a good father. I think he clearly cares about his children, or the adopted children that he's gotten. So I think he really does care about his children in that way, and in that aspect, I like him, and I like his personality separate from the con. I like, and I mean, so if you kind of separate him into 2 categories, I like him. I like one category rather than the other. So I guess, I can understand him, like, when someone says he's a bad guy as a con. But I mean, Cuddle-On still had the option of not making him look like a bad guy when he actually wasn't at the moment, because there's a difference between him being a bad guy when he's actually making his choices, but when he's not actually making a choice that is unfavorable in the eyes of many, then that is fucking wrong. And so she had the choice to do it. Like, I get that they're her family and she's helping out family, but at some point you have to realize that doing something for your family just because they're your family is still the wrong thing, and that all that's gonna end up meaning for you is you're gonna end up in a much worse position if they end up dying and the person you're making look bad ends up winning. So I don't know. That's just me. With that said, Ahmed then goes back to his tent, tells Maylin, or Maylin says she she didn't ride all the way to be held prisoner still, and because she secured his victory, before he then interrupts and says our victory, but she's like, well, no, it's not our victory, it's your victory, and because I secured your motherfucking victory, I want to see my daughter right now, before she's gifted to Nayan, but Ahmed's like, well, she wasn't gifted, she was sold. It's like, boy, get your motherfucking life, I swear to God, if he doesn't die right now, I'm gonna kill him. I want to kill myself. Like, like, I want to kill myself. Like, if he doesn't die soon, I'm gonna kill him. Like, really, I'm serious. If he doesn't, like, yeah. Anyway, and he goes on to say that she won't see her daughter until this is all over. And this is what this is what I was trying to, like, kind of, like, wait to say, that I think she told Kublai, Jingam, and Marco what Ahmed is planning, because she's way too, she seems way too eager to she seems way too eager and willing to do what he's asking her to do. She seems way too eager about this shit. So I think she's already told Kublai, Jingam, and Marco, despite what you kind of see later with Marco and her. I think she's already told them. Like, I really do. Or at the very least, she's told Kublai. At the very least, she's told Kublai about this already. And I really, I mean, I still think that it's like Kublai. She told Kublai, Jingam, and Marco, because she just seems way too eager to do this shit. Because it's like, I get that her daughter's being used to make her do shit for Ahmed, but she still seems way too eager to do any of this shit for him. Like, she still seems way too eager, because she wasn't like this at all with her brother when she was living in South China. Like, she wasn't doing this at all in South China, like, at all. So I personally think that she's just kind of, I honestly think that she is kind of a little, she must have said something to somebody already at this point, because I'm just like, she seems way too eager. I don't know, she just seems way too eager to do this for him, like, regardless of the fact that her daughter's being used. I mean, seriously. Anyways, Ahmed then tells her that Jingam is gonna ride to his death in the east while the storm gathers in the west. Before that whole scene ends, 100 Eyes goes up to Jingam and tells him that Jingam hasn't really, like, come to his training field in weeks, and as Jingam prepares for his horse, and Jingam's like, well, he's kind of like, I've kind of been busy, dude. I can't really go, like, train with you, because not only do we have all this shit going on with, like, Kublai and the challenge, but I have a pregnant wife now, so I can't exactly come train with you as much as I would like to, or as much as you would like. And 100 Eyes tells him of a student he once had who made such flimsy excuses because of it he died. But 100 Eyes eventually tells Jingam that he will become a great emperor, and Jingam's all wondering, like, why the fuck are you telling me this? And 100 Eyes said, well, you deserve to hear it before you leave. Like, okay. Kind of sounds like he's saying a goodbye, but whatever. Marco then goes back to his tent, and then Maylin, is waiting for him and is like, I'll tell you everything I'll tell you everything you need to know, but first you must do something for me. This is the kind of scene. This is a scene that I was talking about a little bit, like a few minutes ago, where, like, despite what Maylin does with Marco here in this scene, I still think she told him beforehand or something. Like, so she told someone something, and I'm thinking she told Kublai, because the way Kublai was looking at Ahmed when Ahmed first got there made me think that he already knew what Maitland's been told. So I don't know. That's what I would say. That's why I was like, kind of. I mean, that's why I think that she already told someone or something. I don't know. That was just me. Anyway, so Margot asked how does he know if she will tell him the truth, and she says that he came to her. Um, so I don't know. Anyway, so basically he goes to Ling, and where she's seen writing before he comes in, and they kind of say hi to each other before. I mean, this is just basically 10 seconds worth of shit or stuff. Anyway, then Cullen asks Oris how long will it take take Kublai to realize it was them, and Oris is like, well, it's gonna take less time less time than it would take for the chieftains to prove it wasn't them, and by then that their father is going to be Khan anyway. So Oris then says flags and armor, they only know what they want to see. Basically anybody who's not them, only if they only see armor and flags, and they know whose armor and flags they are, they're gonna just assume that it was the person who owns this armor and flag that did this, and they're not gonna assume that it was a third party who did this. Oris is then given a message, and the message contains that their trick of making it look like it was Kublai worked, and that Jingham is riding their way. Excuse me. Cuddle asks if there's anything more, and he says they are to kill him, all of them. And he's like, the bright side is we're not gonna have to use the masks anymore, because I'm like, I want him to die too. Like, I mean, I really do. I really hope that he dies too, because at this point, this dude is really not that great. I really don't like him anymore. I was indifferent to him before, and now I just don't like him. I'm hoping that his father comes to his senses sooner or later. I'm hoping that his father comes to his senses and like kind of, realizes that what he's doing isn't right. But as far as his son goes, I'm hoping the son dies too. So there's that. Then Marco rides to Mei-Lin, where Mei-Lin is hiding, and he's seemingly alone. But then when he gets off his horse, he reveals that Ling was sitting behind him. And then once Mei-Lin and Ling say hi to each other, Mei-Lin goes up to Marco and she kisses him. I'm just like, why is everyone kissing this dude? Like, why is everyone kissing this dude? I don't get it. Like, I mean, yeah, he's cute, but I mean, come on, like, everyone's like falling all over him. I'm just like, come on, like, I mean, I think Marco's cute, but come on, like, come on now, like, can we just like not have him have people fall all over him and shit? I mean, why not have people fall all over Jingham? Because Jingham's just as fucking cute, which I think Jingham's just as fucking hot. But no, not everyone's not falling over Jingham. Everyone's falling over Marco though, because I mean, up until this point, he's slept with 3 different women within 2.5 seasons, or a season and a half. Sorry, not 2.5. Within a season and a half, he's slept with 3 women. 3. Even though he wasn't told that he could sleep with women yet, he slept with 3 women in a season and a half, and everyone's falling all over him. I'm not saying that Marco's ugly. I'm just saying that, like, can some other dudes have some loving? Because, like, come on. This point is kind of getting ridiculous that women just kissing him and sleeping with him. Just like, at this point, it's like, I'm not, like I said, Marco, I'm not saying Marco's ugly. I'm saying quite the opposite. I'm saying he's pretty damn cute and pretty damn hot. But let some of the dudes have some loving, like Jingham or Biamba. Like, Biamba is pretty damn hot too. Like, I'm just saying, like, all these guys in this series are pretty damn hot, in my opinion. I mean, I think Aquaman's pretty hot too. If he wasn't bad, I want to date him. But I mean, if he wasn't a bad guy, I'd certainly want to fucking date him. But anyway, that's not the whole point. The point is, it seems like every girl's fucking falling on Marco, and it's like, let some other dudes have some loving or something. Like, please, please. I'm just really getting sick of this shit already. I'm just like, come on now, really? Anyway, Mainland then tells him not to let the prince ride east because he will then die. Marco's like, well, by who? She doesn't really say anything at first, but he presses her more to know who it is, and she's like, it's Ahmed. And she tells him to ride west to the Twin Rivers, and naturally he's like, well, what's there? And she's like, the answers to which you seek. I'm glad to see that Mainland is finally, at least telling somebody, because I'm just like, at this point, there's no way Ahmed is going to go this far without, or this far this long without being noticed, without having someone being told what his intentions are. I'm just saying. To me, it seems unlikely, because secrets eventually come out. Secrets end up almost always coming out. I mean, whether it happens after 2 hours or after 30 years, it almost always ends up coming out anyway. So I'm glad that she's finally, telling somebody something as far as Ahmed goes. Then Chabi is seen going back to Kokachin with some tea and offers her some. And as she's about to drink some of the tea, there's voices in her head saying not to because it's poisoned. And it kind of seems like there's a figure off to her right, behind a curtain or something, or behind a piece of fabric, and it seems like it's that figure that's telling her to do this, or telling her not to drink the tea. Kokachin's like, it's not poisoned. And Chabi's like, who the fuck are you talking to, woman? Like, who the fuck are you talking to? Kokachin's like, no one. And then Chabi's like, seriously, who the fuck are you talking to? And Kokachin's like, the Blue Princess. And Chabi's like, no one's there. Like, it's all in your head. There's no one's there. And once this pregnancy is over, you'll go back to normal and everything. And Kokachin shatters the throws the teacup down and shatters it. And she does this the entire, during as Chabi's talking, and then once the pregnancy is over, she will go back to normal. Kokachin takes the shot, grabs a shard of broken tea glass and holds it over her stomach. And it's like, get the baby out, get the baby out, get the baby out. It's like, and then Jingham, once she does that, once she's doing that, Jingham's all was walking in and is like, go get the healer and everything. It's just like this whole fucking storyline. I'm just like, I really wasn't expecting the storyline to actually continue down this road. I figured that she was gonna go back to normal once everything was done and over with, but I guess I was kind of hoping too much, because that a lot of the times that's not the case with people who have been pushed to the limits mentally. So I guess I really shouldn't have hoped for that, but I was hoping anyway. Then it goes to Hundred Eyes talking to Kublai and saying that he served Kublai well, announces all the things that he's basically done for Kublai, and Kublai's like, oh my god, really? Is this really a scripted goodbye here? Like, come on, really? And Hundred Eyes he alone knows why he stayed here, and that Kublai nearly wiped a religion off the face of the earth just to enslave one single man. So it's like, what? Kublai says, well, it worked. Kublai wants to know why Hundred Eyes is leaving. And I don't think he really said anything. I think he kind of I think he kind of just like, the scene just ends basically. I don't really remember, but that's just me. Then Jingham and Chavi are kind of talking where when next to Kokachin who's sleeping and everything. And they talk to the baby and everything. And Jingham's like, well, it's fortunate that his fourth and final wife was able to conceive. And Chavi like warns him not to confuse fate for fortune, and that Kokachin was brought to them for this like the purpose of him having a child. And I don't know. It seems kind of like Kokachin's stomach isn't as, I guess, round or protruding. I don't want to say protruding because that just sounds weird, but that's the only word I can think of right now. And it seems like the baby is out of her now. I don't know. It's not clear just because nobody said anything about it. Like nobody said anything if the baby is actually out of her at this point, and you don't really see the baby or hear the baby, so it's kind of like you die. It's kind of confusing. Anyway, so Marco then says to Kublai that he must go, and when Kublai asks why, he's like, Marco's like, I can't say. So then Kublai's like, well then you can't go. Marco explains that he sworn an oath to Kublai, and that now Kublai must trust him because he said that he will protect Kublai. Kublai then says that he took the throne from under Arik, his brother, and that people are saying a lot of shit about him because of it, or has said a lot of things about him because of it. Kublai then lets Marco go, anyway. Which I'm like, yay for Kublai. Like, he's kind of taking a step forward in the right direction, it seems, at this point. I don't know for sure, but we'll see if that actually is something. And then Ahmed goes back to his tent, finds his soldier dead, and Mei Ling gone. Then he goes to Ling's tent, and she's gone too. Jingham and Marco then ride out to the east, but Marco and the warriors stop, and Jingham goes back to Marco and asks what's wrong. Marco explains that he is riding the wrong way, and if he continues to ride east, Kaidu and his men will kill him. Jingham asks how he knows this, and Marco's like, well, Ahmed told him, told them to do it. And Jingham really doesn't believe this, and asks how he knows this, and Marco's like, because of Mei Lin. But Jingham doesn't really believe it and calls her a liar. Marco's like, well, she has no reason to lie. And Jingham brings up the kind of valid point of what if Marco is wrong about this. I mean, Marco isn't wrong, but Jingham doesn't know that. Jingham doesn't know that Marco isn't wrong, so he doesn't want to end up going out to going out west and then it not be true and everything. So there's that. And then it goes back to Kudala and Oris, and she asks him how can he do it, like kill innocent people, basically innocent people. Whereas like he doesn't really care because Jingham was always favored, and Kudala's like, well, you always fucking bullied Jingham anyway, and that is so. Why do you care? I mean, you always bullied him just because he seemed to be more favored. It's like it's not his fault that he was favored. People favored him because they favored him. They chose to favor him. He didn't have any choice in that. So you bullied him anyway just because you were fucking salty as fuck. Like, and saying that's my little rant. Anyway, Cuddle's like, well, Jingle's your flesh and blood, so there's really no reason to, like, I don't get why you're doing this, especially when hasn't even done anything wrong yet. So, I mean, and then he's like, well, she's either with them or against them, and she's like, well, what if I choose to be against you? And he says he won't hesitate to act. But before they can continue their conversation, their attention is called away by a soldier who signals to them that someone's coming. And before they find out that if it's actually Jingham and his soldiers, they killed them. And it turns out it wasn't even them to begin with. So Like, it's like shoot first, ask questions later. Um, and then Lotus, in the next scene, Lotus is seen visiting 100 Eyes in the woods later that night to get his answer, and he says he's a servant to Kublai, and will continue to be until I guess he dies. Then they kind of like fight each other. She disorients him a little bit by kicking him before kicking his sword away and everything, and then they continue to fight. Or as they fight, he realizes that she knows the moves that he wouldn't teach her, and she says it's because the scrolls that survived were the ones were the moves that he refused to show her, and she kind of so eventually he kind of disarms her and has the opportunity to kill her but refuses to do so and then just walks away. Which I applaud 100 Eyes for doing that. I really do. I'm just like, he didn't have to do that, but he did it anyway. So, I mean, good for him. Anyway, so the last scene of the whole episode is Jingle and Marco see an encampment to the west, and then they get as they kind of like look at the encampment, two soldiers come up behind them, but before the soldiers can do anything with them though, Biyamba kills them with arrows, and then the three go back to watching the encampment, and they see the black powder barrels, and Biyamba says that he's tracked them down from far away. It's like somewhere else. I don't remember what the name of this town was, but he's tracked them all away from that particular town or village or something. And then they also see Nayan and Kaidu in the encampment, along with Marco's father, Niccolo. And then it kind of like the camera then pans to Marco and kind of like zooms in on his face a little bit and to show his shock and everything, and that's the end of the whole episode. So yeah, so as far as predictions go, I think well, my predictions are going to be the same as last time, basically. I think Marco ended up getting what's her name? That woman tribute whose name I think is Sheree. I think that's what it is. Yeah, Sheree. I think that's what her name is. So I think that that's who is. I think he's gonna end up getting her pregnant because sooner or later, all these women he's having sex with is gonna. One of them is gonna end up getting pregnant. I really do think so. I think she's gonna end up pregnant, and Kublai's gonna end up finding out about this, and Marco's gonna end up getting punished for it. What that punishment is, I don't know, but he's gonna end up getting punished for it. So that's one prediction that's still the same, because I mean, no. Anyway, I think fake Kokachin's identity is gonna end up being revealed on a grander scale still, because Chavi, I mean, yeah, I kind of predict that she was gonna. I kind of thought that she was gonna, get found out, and she has by Chavi. But I think that she's gonna, now that Chavi knows Kokachin's gonna get found out on an even bigger scale after the baby's born, if the baby hasn't been born already. And so I think she's gonna. I think the one, like, after the baby's born, she's gonna get found out that she's not the real Kokachin on a grander scale. Um, or she might even be, found out before the baby's born because someone found the real Kokochin's body. I don't know. That's my second prediction. The third prediction is that Ahmed is going to end up dying by the end of the season. I feel he's going to end up dying by the end of the season. I don't know how or by whose hand, but he's going to end up dying by the end of the season. Let's see. Fourth prediction. Well, my prediction from earlier that Meilin runs away, I think pretty much came true because I'm fairly certain she and Ling have run away because she obviously doesn't go back to her Ahmed's tent because when he goes back to his tent he sees the dead soldier there and she's not there, and then he finds Ling not in her tent, so I'm assuming she ran away. So that prediction I'm pretty sure came true. I'm kind of going to give up the prediction of Honjai's helping Ahmed kill Kublai. It doesn't seem like it's really that true, but I still don't believe that Honjai's really is as that's forgiving that Kublai enslaved and blinded him. I really don't think that. I mean, I'm sure that it can happen, I'm sure it can happen eventually, but I just don't think that it happened at this point. So, I think that he may even have his own agenda as far as like hurting and or killing Kublai. So. But I don't necessarily think that he's really helping Ahmed anymore. So I mean that still may be true, but I don't. I mean at this point in time, it doesn't seem like it's happening. So there's that. I think that's all of my predictions. My main predictions that Jingham or that Marco is gonna end up getting someone pregnant sooner or later, and he's gonna get punished for it. The real Kokochin or a fake Kokochin is gonna end up getting outed on a even grander scale. And Ahmed dying. I think those are really my three main predictions at this point. I should really write this down so I don't forget anything. But anyway, so with that, that is the end of my recap and review, and I will see you guys in the next video. And if you like my videos, like them. If you want to see more of my videos and get notifications of when I post videos, hit subscribe. And don't hesitate to talk to me about the episodes so far in my videos. And that goes for any show that I recap, not just Marco Polo. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.